Madonna returns an impressive group from last year's Kansas City team, led by Brendan Young and Isaac Anderson. They're ready to compete for that WAC title. We got Noel Emenhiser, and we're going to talk Crusader basketball. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Hey, today we have Coach Noel Emenhiser. He's the head men's basketball coach, Madonna Crusaders. They play there in the WAC. A great season last season, 27 wins. They got to Kansas City. They bring back a core group, as I mentioned, Brendan Young, Isaac Anderson, part of that. This is a team that brings back over 70% of their total minutes, over 80% of their scoring, and about 80% of their rebounding. They're definitely going to be a team to beat. On top of that, they brought in a couple of really tough transfers, a couple of seniors who know their way around a court, a big forward and a big center. Madonna is going to be tough there in that WAC. Why don't I just shut up and let's take a listen to Coach Noel Emenhiser, Madonna Crusader basketball. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Noel Emenhiser on the phone. He's a head men's basketball coach at Madonna University, the Crusaders. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the work that you do for the NAIA and giving us a platform to talk about the basketball and the programs and the coaches and the players that are involved at this level.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you very much. That means a lot. You know, Coach, I was able to meet you in Kansas City, sat down with you in the lobby of the hotel for a few minutes, but really we were right in the throes of the tournament. Didn't really get a chance to talk about you as a coach or give much time to the history of the Madonna Crusaders. I wanted to start with that today. You know, you and I were just talking before we started. I know when you played at Madonna, you've been a Madonna guy since you got out of high school. You're the all-time leading scorer there, over 2,200 points. You were two-time first-team All-WAC. You were three-time All-American honorable mention. Just talk about your playing time there, and through the years, what has Madonna grown to mean to you?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. Well, I had the privilege of playing for a coach who was a legendary Detroit Metropolitan high school basketball coach and then was twilighting here at Madonna, who really became a father figure to me. And so had a great opportunity to play with guys that have become the best friends that I have in my life, and a coach that poured into me and believed in me. And, you know, I had a great experience. We didn't win a lot of games. You know, I was probably asked to shoot too much, and that didn't help us a ton. But just had an incredible experience, even though we didn't have a ton of success. And, you know, a transformational experience, if I could describe it that way, where I kind of figured out who I wanted to be, what I was capable of, and found a lot of people that trusted and believed in me and pushed me toward a career and an opportunity to coach.
Yeah, Coach, you grew up near Fort Wayne, which is, that's just like basketball central. You went to Madonna, play basketball, but you majored in mathematics. At what point in your life did you decide you wanted to make basketball a lifelong piece of your life?
Since I can remember, it's been an incredible passion in my life. And if I've been given any gift from my maker, I don't know that it was basketball ability, but maybe a love for the game. Mm-hmm. And that really transitioned into a love for the people who play the game and a desire to help them the way that coaches have helped me. But it really took the encouragement of some of the coaches that I played for, Coach Halowicki, and then my second college coach who was hired after Coach Halowicki kind of stepped away from some illness at the end of his career. They both encouraged me to pursue coaching. Very illogical. It's a difficult profession. There's not many opportunities, but their support and encouragement to get started really meant the world to me. So I did pursue it, and it happened to be under the guidance of some very trusted people, and was given an opportunity to step into the head coaching role at Madonna a long time before I was ready for it.
Right after you graduated there at Madonna, you took a couple of years. You must have had, sounds like a great experience. You went over and you played ball in Europe, in Portugal. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, it was a lifelong dream to continue to play after college, and I was so grateful to be given that opportunity. A fantastic cultural experience. I met some great people. Really enjoyed the experience in the basketball, and it also showed me that that wasn't going to be a career for me. So it was a great chance, a great opportunity. I learned quickly that my career and path was going to be outside of playing, and was really fortunate to transition back to Madonna as an assistant coach shortly after that time.
Let's talk about the Madonna program. You took over. You took over as head coach in 2009. And if you look back through the, Madonna has a very, very long history. But just looking back at the last 7 years, if you throw out the COVID year, which you were in Michigan, you didn't hardly get to see the court. But you, the one year, what was it? Last year you won 27 games. I mean, your worst year in that stretch was 21 wins a couple of years ago and 21-22. You've been pretty successful there up in Livonia. What do you attribute to such this strong run?
Yeah, great question. Well, it took us a long time and a lot of failure. It's kind of you to point to the last seven, but the first seven were a real challenge up and down. First couple years, made a lot of mistakes. Would probably say I was unconsciously incompetent. I had no idea that I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot from those failures, and we identified a process and refined it, made some more mistakes. But I really feel that we've identified the Madonna community, what type of player can be successful here. We recruit to guys that we know can help our program win, but are also going to be a good fit for Madonna academically, campus wise, that they're going to fit in and enjoy their time here, but also, a good fit in our program. So that wouldn't be possible without having, a coaching staff as together as long as we have. Our associate head coach, Adam Kerfoot, could be a head coach at any, in my opinion, any NAI school. And he's been with us for 13 years. He's phenomenal. We have a strength and conditioning coach that I think is really outstanding, who's been with us for over a decade while working with, high-level athletes in the metropolitan Detroit area and working with our team. So the cohesion and alignment of our coaching staff is very, very important to any success that we've had. And just finding our kind of our wheelhouse and momentum and identifying players that we can attract that can be very successful at Madonna, socially, personally, academically, and athletically.
So you talked a lot about basically the quality of the people you bring in that. Did you find that to turn I'm not well turn the program to get in this winning way? I'm not going to say to turn it around. To get in this winning way was a bigger piece with you and the coaches, your X's and O's, and how you approach the games and practices, or was it in how you selected individuals to come into the program?
What a great question. And you're not mischaracterizing it by saying turn it around. Before I had the opportunity to take the lead as coach, I think we'd had one winning season in program history, and then not too many after until these last 10 years. So turning it around is not inaccurate. I think it's both, and I think they kind of drive each other. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get the right people in the locker room without a
Mm-hmm.
doubt, but then as a coaching staff, we have a responsibility to create an atmosphere and a culture, standards that bring the best out of those players. And we have to ask them to do things that work on the court. When we give guys the tools to see improvement and to develop in a psychologically safe and encouraging environment, then that becomes attractive to the next group of players. If you can show recruits what it is that you do, why it works, and how they're going to be successful in it, then that becomes very attractive to them. They don't all choose it. We get a whole lot of no's,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that those two things feed each other. So, as a coaching staff, we have a responsibility to guide and create a culture that's attractive to the right kind of person. But then getting that right kind of person in the locker room really feeds the culture and builds momentum.
As we said a moment ago, last season was one of Madonna's. I think 27 wins was a record at the school in program history. I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. But it was a banner year, nonetheless. You were there in Kansas City. You lost to a really good College of Idaho team. What did last season mean to you? Guys have always had as long as I've been kind of paying attention, you guys have always had a pretty strong basketball program. But what did that mean to your program to get there last year and to really let the world know that Madonna basketball was for real?
It meant a lot. The year before, 22, 23, we had what I thought was a great team, and it was in every right. And we graduated some really, really significant hallmark type players for our program. And so, I had my questions, not necessarily concerns, but I had some questions about who was going to elevate in terms of play and leadership. And at every turn, our guys really stepped up, and I don't want to say surprised, but just even exceeded what maybe we thought we were capable of. And we had scheduled a really challenging non-conference schedule intentionally, and our guys really thrived through the adversity of that and through the opportunities. And as the season went on, just built momentum day after day. And it was one of the most consistent groups that we've had the opportunity to work with. Their day-to-day approach to everything that we asked of them, and to every single game was truly remarkable. And while it was, a 27 win season was the program record, we found a way in a lot of really tight games. And that's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you can always count on, but it's also a testament to that group and their resiliency and their belief and their trust in each other. So it was a really fun year. The guys made everything that we did very, very enjoyable. And that will be one that sticks with us for a very long time in terms of the memories and the environment that we got to be.
And 27 wins in the WAC on top of that. I want to talk about your conference in a moment, but before we do that, you have this season, the 24-25 season, you have great group coming back, led by Brandon Young and Isaac Anderson, and Matthew McClellan. They all played over 30 minutes a game. Just before we talk about them individually, talk about this group of seniors you have coming back.
Yeah, on paper, very excited. It'll be one of the deeper teams, a little more size than maybe we've ever had in our program, athleticism and quote unquote talent. So we're cautiously optimistic. I think that our potential is really, really strong. And I think it's my responsibility to make sure that we're a connected, cohesive group that really commits to our process and putting ourselves in a position to be successful through preseason in each moment of each game, and surrender the outcomes and focus on the things that we can control. But I think the potential of this group is really big. We've got very ambitious goals, and that's got to drive our work ethic and drive our process as we move through the year. So yeah, we're very encouraged. It's not just a talented group; it's a high character, really hardworking group that wants to leave a mark on the Madonna program, and continue to build a foundation for future generations. So yeah, I mean, we did graduate some really impactful leaders from last year's team, 4 seniors, 2 starters, but the majority of our production on paper is coming back. So
Mm-hmm.
we feel optimistic about that, and then the work to be done in terms of putting it all together. And again, we got a really challenging schedule. We've done that on purpose. We're going to play a lot of national tournament quality teams,
Yep.
a whole bunch of teams from the Crossroads, and so we're really excited about that challenge. We know there will be adversity, and we're working it out, and we think that that'll sharpen us as best we can for an opportunity in March. And we hope to be in the NAI tournament. We'd love to be back in Kansas City again.
Coach, you know better than I do that the toughest years, the toughest teams to get ready are the ones that are expected to win. How do you handle the expectations with this group as they're beginning to come back on campus?
What a great question. Yeah, you're right. Last year we had the opportunity to fly under the radar. At this time of the year there wasn't anybody mentioned Madonna, and rightfully so. We were picked fifth in the league, and that's honestly where I voted us too. Not because I didn't believe we should be better. It just that's what the paper should have said. So, yeah, expectations are different, and I think that the biggest thing that we can do as a coaching staff is alleviate our players of those expectations. I'll take ownership of the outcomes. If it doesn't go well, that'll be on me. We just want to give our players the freedom to go out and be their best and focus on the decisions and the effort that they can control, trusting that if we all do our best, that the outcomes will be right what they're supposed to be. And there will be bumps along the road, and we won't win a national championship or a conference championship in November. So our focus is just going to be on attacking each day and being the best that we can be and supporting each other. So I think that the best thing that we can do is just put our eyes on the things that we have control over, and not focus so much on anything else outside of our grasp.
Let's go back and talk about a couple of the seniors. Brendan Young always catches my eye because he's one of those 6'5", 210 guys. He's just a prototype NAI athlete that's whatever 17, 18 points a game, almost 10 rebounds a game. Just talk about his game and what he means to you guys.
Yeah, he's the heartbeat of our program. What we would call an MKG, just a Madonna kind of guy, and we're so grateful to have him. In the recruitment process, I nearly told him not to come to Madonna because we had some really dynamic players ahead of him, and that he'd probably be a couple years to get on the court. But He saw what we were doing and how well he fit, probably better than I even did, and came in as a freshman and earned a starting position from day one. And it's been nearly impossible to take him off the court ever since because of how hard he plays, how smart he plays, how dedicated he is to success. So he's been a generational player for us, and he'll be an irreplaceable senior this coming year, like the last several groups that we've had. We've been fortunate that we've graduated these irreplaceable guys, and then the next group comes along and becomes irreplaceable in their own authentic way.
Just say a little bit about a couple other guys you got coming back. Isaac Anderson from over in your neck of the woods. He's from Fort Wayne. He's a guard, and he's a senior this year. And then Matthew McClellan, the big guy, 6'9", out of Canton, Michigan. He had a very productive season for you guys last year as well.
Yeah, Isaac exploded in his opportunity last year. One of the better rebounding guards and just all around players that we've incredible defender. So good at getting to the rim and the free throw line. I mean, he was extremely productive around the basket and at the free throw line, and just a player that puts a lot of pressure on an opponent, but such a willing passer that he could facilitate to others around the 3-point line with his penetration. So he's a real spark plug for us, and he's worked really hard. He wants to be very successful as a part of a great team this year. So we're thrilled about him being back. Matthew McClellan is another one. His consistency in his play last year really kind of anchored us. He defended really well against a lot of the size that we saw, provided consistent scoring and rebounding for us, and just a really even temperament leader. So those guys are people that we're going to lean on a lot in terms of production this year, but most importantly, leadership and getting the best out of their teammates. And there's more. There's several other guys that we're excited to have back. Sharon Graham, Amani Weston, redshirted last year, but he's a dynamic player that'll really fill in the hole of a couple guys that graduated. So, we're fortunate, and we don't know how it'll all come together, but we really feel good about the guys and their work that they've put in and their desire to be successful this year.
You went out and got a little beef. You went out to the not JCs. These guys are one guy's a D2 transfer, Satchel Love. He played at King down at King University in Tennessee, and then hopefully I don't say his name wrong. Nicola Sassaroga. He played
Yeah,
at
that's close.
Lion.
That's as close as I can come.
But he's 6'9", and he started 51 straight games. They're D3, but he started 51 straight games there. He was a big contributor for them a lot, and he's 6'9", along with Satchel Love, who's a big 6'7". Talk about those two they're coming in as seniors.
When we had the opportunity to be in Kansas City last year, it was pretty striking, the size difference between the majority of the other teams and ourselves. And so we put a focus on seeing if we could identify an opportunity to get bigger without, moving away from the culture that we want with effort and selflessness. And we really had the fortune of landing a couple guys that we think fit pretty well, with an incoming player. You never quite know until you get into season and some adversity and defining roles. But, we're encouraged by what we've seen so far. And with Nikola, he's a skilled player, excellent passer, very high basketball IQ, plays really hard. So we're excited to see about how we can fit him into the group. And with Satchel Love, a high motor player who's been really effective in rebounding, capable on the perimeter, can put it on the floor a little bit. So we think they fit well with the style that we try to play. We don't think we're going to be limited to playing one of them at a time. And we'd love to see how we can try to find combinations that allow them to be successful within our framework.
I want to talk a little. You mentioned your schedule briefly. I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk about the WAC conference. You mentioned this already, but you're starting out with 4 Crossroads teams right out the gate: Goshen, St. Francis, Grayson, Huntington, and then when you start league play, I think that's just before Thanksgiving. You're going to kick off with Lords, Cornerstone, and what looks like is going to be a much improved UNOH team. You mentioned it before, but you purposely did these 7 or 8 games straight to start the season. It's going to be a buzzsaw, Coach.
I just think that playing the best possible competition forces you to prepare in the off season, and we're not afraid to lose a game. We're not going to pad our record, and we want to be prepared. We want to be prepared when we start the league. We want to be prepared for the playoffs. We want to be prepared to give ourselves the best chance to make a run, and the only way to do that is to play against the best teams. So, there's proximity that comes into play. Small schools, budgets, you try to play the best teams within driving distance. And, we're lucky that the Crossroads is right down the highway. And so we want to schedule those teams. And like I said, we're going to give them our best. I have no idea what's going to happen when we play those teams, but we're not afraid to lose a game. And I think that ultimately will prepare us for our league, and we hope prepare us to be in a position to make the national tournament and make a run.
Let's talk a little bit about your conference, the WAC. A couple of years ago, I was bored one day and I went through shooting percentages across the country. And I could be wrong on this, but I believe the WAC had the lowest shooting percentage in the country because, and it doesn't mean they can't shoot there. It's just a very defensive minded conference. And it's known as, strong defense, tough guy basketball, which kind of fits with your region. And then you just got a lot of skilled teams and a lot of great coaches. Talk generally about the conference and what basketball is like there.
I think it's a really fun conference to play in. Like you said, I think there's really good coaches. Hall of Fame Coach Elders
Mm-hmm.
at Cornerstone with 3 national championships, and out of that coaching tree, Coach Albert at Indiana Tech, who played in the national championship game just 2 years ago. Coach Pickens at Lawrence Tech does a phenomenal job, and many others. And
Mm-hmm.
I think regional flavor does make a difference. It's a Big Ten country. Detroit has a style that appreciates physicality, and you're not going to get any cheap whistles. So, certainly teams will play to that, where the game's allowed to be played physically, that you can play it that way. And it is skilled, but certainly we're not a lot of touch fouls. There might be a little bit difference if you go to some of the crossroads where it's a little more offensive
Mm-hmm.
minded, and that is, I think, a little bit directed by how the game gets called. You got to be extremely technical, and I appreciate that, but certainly our league will play to the style that's been called by the refereeing, and it has been a physical, tough, and I would even call it a defensive-minded league at some points, but not exclusively. I think that we see so many different variations by the style of coaching in our league that it's a well-rounded league, and it's a lot of fun to compete in.
I've asked other coaches in your conference, and I don't mean anything demeaning about it. I have a lot of respect for the WAC, but do you ever feel a little overshadowed being so close to the crossroads because it gets so much attention?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the Crossroads certainly deserves the recognition that they get. And overshadowed or not, I think our league still needs to carve out kind of its own reputation and its own niche. And I think we're working hard to do that. And I think things that can and should help are the success that programs like Cornerstone have had and Indiana Tech have had. And I hope that Madonna can contribute to that as we build a strong national reputation as a league. But however people perceive our league is how they perceive it. What bothers me sometimes is whenever I feel like maybe we had a team that could have been in the national tournament, Cornerstone 2 years ago or Lawrence Tech this year, and they
Yeah.
might miss out even when the numbers suggest that they could or should be in. So whatever anybody else thinks about our league doesn't bother me too much. I just hope that we can get fair representation for some of those third or fourth teams at times. And I understand we have the obligation to make sure we play our way in and win our way in. But I hate to see a team that feels like they could have or should have made it, on the outside looking in.
Regardless of all that, one thing that everybody really looks forward to as the season kicks off is that WAC Crossroads Challenge every year. That's the 4 games that really get everybody's blood going at the start of the season.
Yeah, with Cornerstone, Indiana Wesleyan, Spring Arbor,
Yeah.
those are Indiana Tech. Those are really good marker, and it gives a lot of indication of where everybody's at. And those either the last weekend of October or the first weekend of November. So yeah, that's a marquee event across the NAIA. And I know even though we're not playing in it, we're always paying close attention to who's doing what. So
Well, let you know right away who's where, the temperature at least.
without a doubt.
Well, coach, you have a lot of guys coming back. You got a couple of strong transfers coming in. You're coming off a very, very good season. What are going to be the 3 or 4 keys for you to be successful this year? Get back to Kansas City.
Yeah, good question. One, it's going to be my responsibility to put the guys in a position to be very successful and understand their roles. So I really feel like if we don't have a great year, it'll be on me. We need to stay healthy. We're super intentional about how we go about that through our periodization and the strength work that we do. We want to make sure that we're building toward the end of the season. So, but there is always some, as much as we try to be intentional about that, there's always some luck that goes into
Yeah.
staying healthy. And outside of that, we're just going to continue to ask our players to buy in and believe in our process and keep our eyes on the things we control, and let the things that we can't control take care of themselves. So I think between me doing the best I can to have a connected group and following our process, staying healthy. It's going to be really staying focused and where our feet are, as opposed to, measuring a lot of things that we don't have control of.
Well, I think the WAC's going to be a fist fight this season. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. I think it's going to be tight.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the season to get underway. I bet you. Are you just chomping at the bit? Do you have students back yet?
Yeah, our players are here. Everybody's back on campus. So we're excited to get to work as soon as that opening practice day starts.
Absolutely.
And as eager as we are for the season to start, we have a lot of work to do between now and then. So, hopefully it doesn't get here too quick.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for giving me the time. Good luck as the season gets going, and hopefully we can get on the phone as that WAC season gets going and talk some WAC and Crusader basketball.
Yeah, let me know. Look forward to it. And again, thank you so much for the work that you do to promote NAI players and programs.
Thank you very much. That's Noel Emenhiser. He's the head men's basketball coach, Madonna Crusaders. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, please like and subscribe this show wherever you watch or listen to it. It helps a lot. And if you have a question you'd like answered on the show, just send me a note at cascadehoopstalk@gmail.com or just shoot me a DM on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy your day. We'll see you next time. Yours truly, Billy D. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAI school because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.